After the Second World War, each of the four allies received a part of Germany. With the German capital Berlin happened the same. In 1949, the British, US and French sectors unified to the Bundesrepublik Deutschland, including the three west sectors of Berlin, and so creating West and East Berlin. Along a total of around 160 kilometers, the Berlin Wall traces the course of the former border fortifications encircling West Berlin. Starting in Wittenau, you are following in south direction the S-Bahn until Bornholmer Straße, where on 9th of November 1989 the first border crossing opened his gates to West Berlin. We are now looking at an aerial view of the former border crossing Bornholmer Straße. Following the Mauerweg, we will pass now the Bernauer Straße and one of the few remaining command towers of the border guards. The closing of the borders between East and West Berlin in 12th of August 1961 created a very strange situation in the Bernauer Straße. It happened that the street itself belonged to West Berlin, but the buildings to East Berlin. So the people tried to flee from East Germany through tunnels or jumping from the windows. The Fernsehturm is visible in many areas of Berlin, here from the Berlin Wall Memorial Bernauer Straße. One of the few remaining command towers of the border guards is now surrounded by new buildings erected after the Berlin Wall fell down. In the Invalidenfriedhof you can find various memorials of German history. Here we have in front the memorial for the First World War hero Manfred von Richthofen, and behind we have remaining parts of the Berlin Wall. Now we are reaching the center of Berlin, with the most famous places: Hauptbahnhof Berlin, finished in 2006, the government area, the Brandenburger Tor, Potsdamer Platz and Checkpoint Charlie. Sometimes the only remaining trace of the Berlin Wall is a double line of cobblestones, here on the banks of the Spree River near the German Parliament. In the heart of Berlin, on both banks of the River Spree, are the German government buildings. Some of them recently built, some of them recovered from the Second World War destruction. I didn't take photos from the Reichstag during the Mauerweg trip, so I took photos which I made during a nightly visit. The Reichstag has been built already at the end of the 19th century and served since then as host for the German Parliament. First under the last German Kaiser, then for the first German Republic, the Weimarer Republic. During the Second World War, it has seen nearly total destruction, and it was rebuilt in 1994 to serve as host for the Parliament of the recently unified Germany. The Brandenburg Gate, built at the end of the 18th century, is perhaps Berlin's most famous landmark. It is the last remaining gate of the old fortified Berlin. passing the Holocaust Memorial and the Potsdamer Platz, we are coming to the checkpoint Charlie, which was during the Cold War the border crossing mostly for diplomats. The East Side Gallery is another famous sightseeing point. There are more than 100 paintings from various artists on a 1.3 kilometer long remaining part of the wall. We are now reaching the far southeast extension of the Berlin Wall, the airports of Schönefeld, which was the former DDR main airport, and the new BER Berlin-Brandenburg are near. Old man needs rest. The border crossing Dreilinden was a transit gate to southern West Germany. Wannsee and Babelsberg has been places for the upper class people since the time of the Prussian kings. In Babelsberg, the German Army Command founded during the First World War the UFA as a war propaganda agency. After the war, the UFA became one of the oldest and most famous film industries. The UFA is active in cinema and TV series, in films and TV shows until the present days. The Kliniker Brücke, very well known as local for Cold War time interchangement of captured spies from the Soviet Union to West Germany and the other way around, is now again open for everyone, marks only the limits of the cities of Potsdam and Berlin. Leaving Wannsee, we are following the river Havel. Then around the city of Spandau, we are coming back to Havel. In 1910, the Prussian Prince of Donnersmarck planned and built a garden city in nearby Berlin, which was named Frohnau. Today the city is part of Berlin, but is still surrounded by forests. The Invalidensiedlung is very interesting for different reasons. First, because it was founded in the midst of the 18th century by the Prussian King Friedrich II, the Great, as one of the earliest institutions for war victims. Despite various setbacks in the past centuries, the institution is working until today. During the Cold War, with the Berlin Wall in place, the Invalidensiedlung was surrounded on 3 sides by the wall constructions, as you can see on the map. Believe it or not, the following video clip I made really during the Mauerweg trip inside the urban limits of Berlin. We are now coming to the end of the tour. I have been following during round about 160 kilometers the signs with the Mauerweg symbol and the double line of cobblestones, which are sometimes interrupted with the letters Berliner Mauer 1961 until 1989.